Hey everybody, hope you're all having a great day so far. I've had another pretty busy one, but I'm ready to go ahead and get started with some programming, I think. Alright, so let's switch it over. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the sound system tonight. As we can see here, we started a bit on it yesterday where we tried to, or not tried to, we did successfully get audio sources and audio mixers to load from asset bundles, and we set up all the routing between the different mixers, so that's all taken care of. Now I want to do the fun part where we actually try to tie sound into the game through Lua scripts, and also we're going to have to do all the different modes that we could play an animation in, either during action, in which case we want to save all these commands and execute them later once we've got the go ahead from the server, and then coroutine mode where we can just play them immediately as we receive the commands from the mod files. So we're going to start on that. Luckily, most of the system for action and coroutine mode is already set up. We just have to connect all these new audio things to it. Oh, right. And so one other problem that I was trying to think about is we're going to have two types of ways to, I guess, access an audio source. So the first one is an audio that's connected to a specific model, such as here for the egg dino, it would have a jump and a land sound, which I guess I need to set up eventually, but probably have to go and generate those later. So we'll want some way to, first of all, access these sounds, and then let the mods pass in this egg dino model and say we want the jump sound from it. And the second way is from global sound effects that the mod files themselves provide, which you can see here. Oh wait, no, it's in the table of contents. So we have this test blip and test boop sound. And it's not that, I don't think it'll be that difficult, but I guess the problem is, like in animations, when we call get audio, where will we store these audio source objects, and how will we access them again? I guess the easiest way would just be if we went into the Lua object registry and we had a list of all audio source objects that have been created, and then we would just loop through them to find one we wanted. We could do that, but I don't know, that seems a bit... Well, maybe that will be fine because, I mean, yeah, it is inefficient, but it's not like the get audio command needs to be super fast. Okay, so let's look at that. If I did it that way, I would just have a list of audio sources. The music's super quiet. I guess one nice thing is that depending on how I implement this, I can make the way that we access these files kind of abstract. Or not abstract might not be the right term, but basically nobody will need to know how we store these audio source objects. They'll just call this function and we'll give it to them. So if I ever want to change the way we store this to make it a bit more sophisticated, it won't really be that difficult. So model ID and audio ID. And I guess model ID for some global thing, we'll have it set to -1, just to make that simpler. For global sources. So again, I'll just loop through. So for each source and audio sources, if source dot model ID equals that, and audio ID equals this. Oops. Then we'll just return this source. Otherwise, we'll create a new one and add it to the list. So again, not very sophisticated, but it will get the job done. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that for now. I guess the question is, how will the audio sources, what function will they call here to set, and I guess a get? Okay, so let's have audio source. Basically this, well, maybe we can just have it in the same file here. Oops. Oh, I forgot the class keyword. That's why it was confusing, or why C# was confused. So I think the audio source will have a reference to this audio source link, and it can just call functions in here to actually set and get these values. So let's not worry about pitch right now. Let's just do volume and play, and we can add in the other values. So this will just have public function float, or yeah, float, because it will return a float. Get volume. Well, we'll need to also pass the audio ID and the model ID. Maybe I can just pass the audio source itself. Okay, so this is set. So this will just be an action because there's no return value. And we'll... Okay, I think I did this backwards because the return value is the last one, so... Okay, so this will take an audio source and a float. And then play. Okay, this returns a dynamic value because it can return something for the game to insert into the action sequence in case an animation wanted to, or the game wanted to wait until the sound effect was finished playing, for example. Or not the game, a mod. So yeah, this is a function, or func, which basically just means it has a return value. And again, we'll have audio source, and that's really all we have to do there. And a dynamic value. Okay, so yeah, I guess we'll need to have a reference to this here. Okay, and so here we'll return link get volume. And then this is link set volume. Okay, so pretty simple. What's it not like about this? Oh yeah, I have to pass our instance. So now the Lua Lua object registry, can't talk, needs to also have this audio source link. And this will just have accessor down here. I guess we'll need a set. So that way, whatever class in the game logic that will create those functions for us will easily be able to get a handle on this. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. So the next step maybe, again, like when I'm trying to do things with scripts, I like to start on the script side and then kind of move all the way over to the other end, which would be Unity. So let's work from this side and try to make the actual code that would play an audio file. Oh, right, I need to pass the link here. So that would be here in the UX, or that's not the UX, here. So I guess it's technically part of the animation system. So how about... Okay, for now, I guess I'll just have the sound effect player, and this will just play sound effects. And we'll do something else for setting volume. I think that's the best way to do it. Okay, now this song is a bit too loud. Okay, so it's going to be a lot like the positioner. It'll just be some class that will deal with a specific command to play a sound file. Or I guess I should say audio source. But we don't want to use a positions... a position command, obviously. Okay, so let's move back to the animations, and we'll just make audio commands file. This will just have all this small little structures for these commands. So public struct. Okay, so I'll make one specific structure for playing audio, I think. Audio play command. And then I'll have another one for basically changing the properties of an audio. Audio property change command. And this will be for like volume and pitch and things like that. But this will just need the model ID, the sound ID. I think I called it audio ID before, so I'll try to keep the same name. And then also it will need the weight handle. Okay, then we'll worry about this later. I think that's about it. So let's change this to the audio play command. Okay, so now we need to figure out how we'll actually get this audio. Okay, so the oh, I do have a source of audio here already, so that makes that easy. Although it doesn't have the associated name with it. I guess we could just use the game object name. Can't really think of a reason why that wouldn't be a good idea. Yeah. Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to use the game object name? The other option would be to have some other class here that mod authors would add to register this audio source with the system. Maybe that would be better, because there might be other audio that's the system shouldn't be able to call, but might be called from an animation or something. Or during yeah, one of these Unity animations, you can play audio here. Maybe I'll do that. So if that's the case, then I need to add another object. Yeah, the animation utilities right here. So this will be, let's call it audio source. I don't know if I want to call it like register. It's a little weird. Can't think of the name for the, or I guess I'll just call it audio source tag. I guess that makes sense. Okay, so it goes in a Tactical Lizard Tamer mods namespace, because this is the objects that mods will have access to, and it's just going to be a mono behavior. And all this is going to have is a serialized field, private string, tag. Oh, I can't use tag because this Unity has a variable called tag already, so I'll just call it audio tag, I guess. And that's about it. So now if I add that here, I don't see it. Audio source. Oh, is it still compiling? Okay, I messed up somewhere. So mono behavior, it's public, audio source tag. Audio source tag. That's usually a checklist you have to make sure so that you can add it to a Unity object, as it has to have the same name as the file and be public mono behavior. Oh, I think it's just because it hasn't compiled yet, because it has this error. So I guess if I fix that, then I'll recompile, and then the audio source tag should appear on the list. Okay, yeah, there it is. So we have, I guess I'll just call it jump. And land. And I'll go ahead and apply this prefab so I won't forget later. So now instead of storing where was I? The model registry, that's what I was trying to find. Instead of storing an array of audio sources, we'll store an array of audio source tags. And let's see, so in the monster model creator, we would do that here. Audio source tag. So now basically only the audio sources that are specifically tagged with this object will appear and will be callable by Lua scripts, which I think is fine. I think I'll just make some helper functions here. I'll get component, audio source. And I think that should be fine. Okay, so where was I? So if the model ID is less than 0, then we know it's global. But I guess we'll start off here. And I'll go ahead and just get the source, or get this variable up here. So if it's global, then the source equals database global audio ID. Oh, except global audio is a hash with strings. Okay. So we need it to actually be a list because we have to be able to get it by ID instead of name. Okay, so maybe I'll do the same thing with the audio mixers. If that's the case, I'm going to need to make a class, game data class for these. So, well, that's not that big of a deal. So back into game logic data. So I'll have audio source meta. It should definitely be public. And this will just contain the audio source itself, which is the Unity object. That was the wrong one. I need a Unity engine. And then also the name. And then I'll have audio mixer meta, which is basically going to be the same thing. Might as well just do this for both of them while I'm in here. I kind of knew using dictionaries wasn't going to be a good idea. I should have just gone ahead with the list in the first place. In the back of my mind, I thought that we might need to use or to refer to these by a integer index instead of just by name, but not really any harm done. Okay, so we go back into the game data and I'll just change this to a list. of audio mixer meta objects. Okay, and this should actually... That is true. I keep forgetting that these audio sources, we just have the game object and not actually the audio source because it needs to be instantiated later on. So I'll just name that prefab so I won't confuse myself. And at some point, somewhere, I guess in the UX, there will need to be a list of the global audio instantiated sources that we can play. Oops. I don't remember what I named that variable. Okay, and now there's going to be another error in the loading code because, again, we changed the way these are stored. So I think we just go to the audio asset organizer. I can just clean this up pretty easily. So we got database, audio mixers, add. Mixer. And audio mixers don't need to be instantiated, so this is already set up. And then I'll need to do basically the same thing here. Oops. Okay, so the prefab. And then the name. Okay, and then down here, what is it trying to do? Okay, so here we have to get... Oh yeah, so from a precompiled router. Well, I could store my own dictionary. I guess that'd be simpler than having to go back through that list. Oh no, I can't do that because that's going to confuse namespaces way too much. So this will just be the mixer map. Then just here we'll just, I guess, should pull the name out because we're going to need to save it in 2 places. And then the mixer map name equals, yeah, that, the game mixer. I just realized I need to make sure that there's no like name collisions. Okay, so yeah, if mixer map dot contains key, let's, okay, since I'm gonna have to do 2 upper and variant. So audio mixer. Yeah, let's use this because it has the mod name as well. So it has a duplicate name. So they need to go fix that. I guess I'll need to do the same thing here. Because yeah, anytime there's a name, I need to make sure there's no duplicates. But I could just use a hash set. And so this will be source names. Okay, so private string name. Oh, I don't have to put private at the beginning. And I might as well copy this. So this would be audio names. Oh, source names. Contains name, then audio source. Oh, I didn't spell that right. Duplicate. There we go. And I think now we should be ready to go back to the audio. Okay, we will need to update that, but sound effect player, this is what I was trying to get to. Okay, so we can't use this because we have to use the list of audio sources that were instantiated, so I guess we should update this now. Yeah, because we just instantiate it, but we don't store it anywhere. Do we want to just store that in the model registry or create another object? I don't know if it matters a whole lot, although I know it's technically not a model. So maybe I can just rename this to like the game object registry and it'll just store various instantiated game objects. That's probably a good idea. There's a couple other game objects that I know we will create. Oh. Okay, so now we'll just have another list of audio sources. Yeah, that's all I think. And this will just be global audio. Don't really need any other metadata about it here because it would always just match up the same to the same index in the game data, which would tell us its name if we ever needed it. Alright, so let's close some so I can get back to the audio creator. Alright, so now this isn't a dictionary, it's just a list, so the name is a little different. Or the way you access the name is a little different. We'll need to do just a normal for loop so we can keep track of the index while we loop through here. I don't really need that. So audio source meta. Okay, and then the prefab is just meta.prefab. And we will need to get a reference to that. I do have a reference to the models. Global audio, safe. And I'm going to use safe set here, even though it's not really needed. It makes it a little easier to see what's going on. And all safe set does is that if you set an item in a list that's outside of the list bounds, our C# won't throw an error. It will just expand the list to fit the index that you provide. Component, audio source. So now we're just setting this audio source at the same index as its global audio meta file, or a meta object, I should say. It's not a file. Okay, so I think we're finally ready to play the sound effect. So it just be models, global audio, command, audio ID. Otherwise, it's models, command, model ID dot audio, command, audio ID. Not convert audio source tag. Oh, right. So now we just need to get the actual audio source from the tag. Oh, except it's returning the Tactical Lizard Tamer mod version of it. Doesn't make much sense. That's not even a game component. This should throw an error. I'm surprised it wasn't saying that, oh, this is ambiguous between the Unity engine audio source and the Tactical Lizard Tamer mod audio source, but whatever, we fixed it. Okay, so we'll need to... Yeah, I should have copied actually the rotation animator or something like that, because there's a little bit more to this class. Let's just grab some of this stuff. Because I almost forgot that we're going to need to keep track of certain audio that we started to play to see if it's done. As far as I know, in Unity, there's no way really to see if an audio, like have it notify you when an audio finishes playing. You have to keep on looking at the audio source and see if his playing is true. So that's why we kind of need to keep track of this stuff ourselves. Okay, so audio, play command. And then I'll just copy this code, even though it probably will not stay very much intact. Alright, so here... Well, I already did the logic here, but I guess I can move this out. So we'll need the model ID and then the audio ID. And then just the wait handle. That's about it. Yeah, no easing or anything like that. We don't actually animate, we just want to watch to see when the audio is done playing. I wonder... Well, that'll be something to test. I wonder if if the Unity audio source will say it started playing immediately after we call the play function, or if we'll have to wait one frame. That'll be something we'll need to look out for. Okay, so let's just change this to check not playing. So we really don't need anything here except this bool complete. No, I think I'll copy this. And complete would just be source is playing is false. Alright, let's change this to watch. Okay, that looks good. So now I just need to create this new current watch object. And we could technically do a structure here because none of this is going to change. I might as well. Why not? So current, add new. Oh, one thing I need to do is also play this immediately. Yeah, I don't see why not. Why not to start it right away? So let's extract this to some get source method. I guess that's fine. Okay, so if that's the case, I want to have a reference to this. Is command dot audio ID and model ID is command model ID, and then the wait handle. There we go. So, oh yeah, I don't need this closing parenthesis anymore. I want to call this function to get the audio source, and I need to make sure. Actually, now that I think about it, I shouldn't do it like this because I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I know I'm going to have a function here that's going to need to check to see if this audio loops or not, because then that would throw an error whenever. Well, no, that wouldn't. Actually, it just would never end. But I guess we still need to check if an audio source exists because the mods won't know that ahead of time. Okay, I'm probably not making much sense right now, but I just know I need to update this. Okay, so here I can just oh, come on. Watch dot audio ID. And I guess so. I don't think any error can happen at this point. We can just go ahead and add it to the current list. And now that we have the source, we can just play it. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so let's go ahead and make the query here. It's going to be kind of like the animation param setter where we had to check to see if a param existed. And we had this query that did that for us, so I'll do the same thing here. The private bool check sound exists. And okay, so it just took the command itself. I guess that's fine. Although, now that I think about it, this is also going to need to be checked whenever we try to set volume. So we can't really use an audio play command unless I want to combine all that stuff together. But I don't really want to do that because the set volume and everything doesn't use a wait handle. Okay, so I guess I'm going to have to separate it out. Not that big of a deal, but just need to have one other file. We can close that, I think. So the audio commands, we have this here, and I'll just make another one. Public struct audio exists query args. And again, this will just be the model ID and the audio ID. So I don't really know. Like if an audio file loops, then we probably shouldn't let it, or we should probably throw an error if we try to wait until it's done playing, because that wouldn't make any sense. So let's have a return argument here as well. And this will just is looping. I think that's about all that'll have to be. I guess we'll well no, it's just gonna be returned immediately, so that's not needed. Okay, so this would be audio. Oh, except we do have to have a boolean here saying if it exists or not. Okay, so it's going to be pretty simple. We'll just call get source, and this was the reason I knew I needed to just have the model audio ID instead of trying to pass the current watch. And then we'd simply, well, get source. Okay, we can't do an audio ID because we actually need to check based on a name. Okay, so how do I want to do this? So this query, it only needs to check to see if an audio exists on a model, because that's only known to the UX and not the game data. And then I guess we'll have to have a separate one for is looping. Okay, so how do I want to call this? So tag and so I guess I'll just return a boolean, and then I'll need to have a separate one because we'll need to know if it loops for any type of audio. So audio loops query results, and this will, or not results, well, this will be an arg2, and it will just need to have the model ID and then just a plain audio ID like we used before. Okay, and then if it does loop, then I guess we'll disregard the wait handle. In which case we just won't need to even add it here. So if command.wait handle is greater than or equal to 0, I guess I'll just pass a -1 if it's looping. Or we can even take things into our own hands and just call source if source is looping. What? I know you can get that. Yeah, okay, source loop is false. Then we'll watch to see if it ends. Okay. So anyway, now we're finally ready to do this, and we'll just return a boolean. So audio exists on model. And for that, we'll just need to check all the audio tags on a model. So for each audio tag, args model ID if audio tag 2 are Alright, there we go. To upper invariant equals args audio tag to upper invariant. It'll return true, but if we get all the way through this loop and we haven't found anything, then we'll return false. Okay, and then for looping, it's going to be really simple. So audio loops query arg. We'll just have to call it get source. Okay, so this should be check sound loops. Okay, so I guess there's ways that a mod could get around this kind of, because we're gonna let mods be able to set this loop themselves. And I guess we could check to see if the game is currently waiting for a looping sound. But and then throw an error in that case, but that's kind of a lot to do. Also, oops. Maybe we just won't let mods be able to set the loop, because now I'm thinking that this information is going to be out of date by the time, like in action mode, because we won't have actually set loop, but that's not that weird because we have to check things anyway, but I don't know. Why would you ever need to set looping on and off for an audio file anyway? I can't really think of a reason. You would just stop it. So anyway, so we claim this, and now I just need to register these two queries. Okay, so the argument goes first, right? No, I guess the return goes first. Oh yeah, okay, that way makes a bit more sense to me, because you put the return first and the function declaration. But C# does it differently with their functions, so that's what was confusing me. Or with their with these, you put the return at the end. Okay, so here we'll return Boolean, and here we'll also return a Boolean. Check sound loops. And then, let's see. Let's just change this to play. I'm kind of tempted just to add in the other audio commands in this object, because, but we already have some like common audio things here that don't really have to do much with playing. Although I guess we would, yeah, because this file will also, or this function will need to be called by anything that sets a command. I don't know, I don't think it really will matter that much. Well, maybe. So one thing I'm thinking is we have to do both set and get volume. But is there any reason? So get volume is a bit of a pain, because again, it can be changed at one point in code, but not actually take effect. So let's say in this actions here, I set, let's just do it. So it'd be animations, set, or wait, it'd be get sound effect, volume. We muted it here, but then we called our printed. The volume here, and we just took the actual volume of the animation of the clip, of the audio clip in Unity. It would still be set to 1 because this wouldn't have run yet because we have to wait to execute all the animations in the sequence, and I'll do all that. I mean, we could get around it by having this get sound effect check the animation sequence. That seems kind of like a lot of work for something that I don't know if mods will even have to do. Just a second, I need to get a drink of water. Okay, that's better. So, I'm not sure. I think right now I won't let you be able to actually get the volume of a sound effect. I don't know. I think it might be useful. Maybe... Oh no, that's not a good idea. I was gonna say maybe the audio source here and the Lua interface could keep a reference to its last audio volume. But then at some point it'll need to be reset to whatever's in the game because the game at some point could change that information itself. I guess the other option is to have this sound effect player look through the animation sequence and see if a specific animation had its volume changed, but that's kind of outside the scope. I guess we could do that. I don't know. I think that's what we'll have to do, but it won't be in this class, it will be in the Lua function handlers that we'll write soon. Anyway, let's go ahead and just write the command to set an audio sources information. I guess we'll also need to have a query to get that information back. This is interesting because I'm trying to think, like, we didn't have to do anything like this with the animations system, but I guess at some point we might want to see some of those like animation parameters, what those values are. So the way I do that here, we can use that kind of as a template. Okay, but anyway, let's see. So we have public enumeration, audio, property, type. And for now, I'll just have volume. I always like to make the default value none. So this will be audio property. Quests are, let's query args. Should I just make a separate query for each type? Sorry, I keep hitting my microphone arm. Need to stop messing with my hair. So we could do something like this, where we ask for a specific type, but then I don't know what the return value would be. I guess this will go property query result, and I guess depending on what type it is, it'll give you a different. Or these values will be sent in differently. But what? Yeah, we have the, I guess, loop, volume, and pitch. And the audio mixer group, which would be a string. But, well, I guess we'll need to know whether a sound effect is looping, but we won't necessarily have to be able to set it. Okay, well, as we go, I can add more values here. And so this will be float value. Maybe I should move. I could move this to the model registry, and that way I could separate some of this stuff out into a different class. Or if I didn't want to do the model registry, I could just make it a whole different class itself that just has the model registry, but I don't really see any problem with that being in here. So get audio source. Okay. And then here, you just call models get source. Oh, should be get audio source now. Audio, not Ario. Is that still not it? Oh, it's probably private. There we go. And I'll just copy this up to here and here. I think I'll actually move this or these things out into a separate audio query class. So audio property inspector will basically just handle all these different queries for different types of information about the audio sources. Oops. Yeah, I'm looking for this, and so I'll take both of these out, and I'll delete that because that's going to cause a problem. Oh, at first I should create a constructor, and it will have an auto controller. And then I can copy these out. And it's going to need the models or the game object registry. Oh, copied it to the wrong place, but I'll need to erase it over with this, or erase over it with that line anyway, so it's fine. Good, my internet seems to be a lot better tonight, so happy about that. The last couple of streams have been a bit rough, but maybe it's turning around now. Okay, so we'll have one more for, should the loop, maybe we can just kind of tie this in with the other commands, so I don't have to have something separate. Where is it? Here. So I can just have loop, but we can disallow actually setting this, I suppose. Okay, so I'll just change this to audio property query args and audio property query results. And this will be get property. Okay, one second. All right. Anyway, so instead of just returning the loop, we'll just need to switch through the args type. Oh, and of course we have to have the model ID here and the audio ID like always. Here as well. And well, since I know I'm gonna support looping here, let's do that. I don't need to do that. I guess I should go ahead and get the audio source. And this is the Unity engine type. Is models, get audio source. And we can just return, no, we can't just return a boolean, I have to do new source result and bool value equals args, oh not args, source loop. And then for volume, we'll return new float value equals source dot volume. And then if it ever, for some reason, gets any farther, well, I won't return anything. I'll actually throw an error. Argument. Exception, invalid audio property type. Okay, so I guess here we're done with this class. So I should create the class that actually sets these values as well, which would just be the audio property setter, I guess. And I think I can copy this whole thing over to this file. And instead of a query, we'll actually just subscribe to a command message. And it will be audio property change command. And I guess set property, I'll call it. And this is the message archetype command. Alright. Alright, so just changing the name of some things up here. Okay, and well, I guess we'll let you set loops, but when we actually go to the Lua function handler, I think that we'll throw an error if, or I just won't even let Lua set the loop. Don't really know any reason that it's going to cause problems. Oh, I don't even have the Boolean value. Okay, break. And then source dot volume is command dot float value. Okay, so I think we're all set up here. I just need to go to the play subcontroller and create these 3 new classes. If I can find it here. Oh no, it's not in the, it's in the map subcontroller. Or the map controller. I actually want to get rid of those separate subcontrollers at some point, but just haven't got around to it. So map, animations, audio, spectre, or where's the, oh, the other one's just called the sound player. Oh, that's fine. All right, that's taken care of. So I think we're all done with this. So let's close all but this file because I'm going to still need that, and we'll go back up to here. And I have all these Lua function handlers, and that's pretty much what I'm going to create now. I guess the question is, do I want to put all these audio things in the same file? There's going to be a whole lot of functions, but they're all going to be very simple. But I think I will, because basically they're all going to just test if an audio exists and things like that. Okay, so let's look at, let's just get a simple one. Oops, I didn't want to select all of that. This one's not, well, I guess it is pretty simple, okay. Okay, so I want to change this. Okay, so the one thing I haven't done is in the Lua interface for the animations. I didn't implement. Oh, I did. I did create the functions. I just need something to actually implement them. So audio is Lua get global, and then Lua get model audio. I guess I'll put audio at the end of both of them. Okay, so here, I mean, they're going to be a bit similar. First, we'll have to call this, and then I'm going to need to be able to get an audio file. So private. How do I want to do this? The manager, I guess the animation manager will need to be able to decode the model plus the name into a model and sound ID for me, so I won't have to do it here. So where is it? The animation script manager, that's what I was looking for. Because I already have get model ID, which is good. So get audio ID. And we'll already have the model ID at this point. And the error name, yeah, that's fine. I don't think I need to have that. So yeah, this basically just tries to cast things, but this will actually be a bit different. We're going to need to call that query to see if the audio exists. So private audio. Oh, what am I trying to do here? I don't need any variable. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, I'm confusing myself. So I need the query handle, and we have a boolean if it exists, and then we have to have the audio exists on model. Okay, so now we just have a reference to that here. I don't really need any of this stuff. Okay, so if this will be different if it's a global. So if model ID is greater than or equal to 0, then we'll call this query. So audio exists query. And we'll just pass it the model ID and the name. This is a bit confusing. Yeah, I don't like that. So audio exists equals. I didn't like it inside the if statement. It made it hard to read. So if audio exists, then I guess we just return. Oh, it doesn't even give us the ID here. That's a pretty big oversight. So I am going to need to have. Well, I could just return an integer, and if it doesn't exist, it would just return -1. Okay, so let's go back to here and change this to an int, and that to an int. And I guess I need to keep track of the index now. Let's save that for later. Int I equals 0, I less than that. I should just pull out this list. Okay, yeah, that's much cleaner. So if tags I audio tag to upper invariant equals that, then we just return I because that's the index of this thing. If not, we'll return -1. And that means that this audio does not exist on the model, which is what we want. So this would instead of audio exists, it would just be the audio ID. What's it complaining about? Not implicitly. Oh, right. I have to change this up here to an integer. Okay, so if audio ID is less than 0, then we have a problem. Throw new script. Runtime exception. String. Format. Audio. Source. Does not exist on the audio name and error name. Okay, and then otherwise we can just return the audio ID. So now we also have to check global audio sources. And do we have, okay, I do have the database, so this won't be too difficult. So for int I equals 0, I less than database global audio count. So database, oh wait, this way, if global audio. Yeah, I forgot the database at the beginning. Dot name is the audio name to upper invariant. Then we return I. Otherwise we'll throw an error. Okay, and here we want to have an error name because there's no model. Okay. So first we'll need to get the model ID, so model name, and then int model ID is manager dot get model ID. Oh yeah, these don't even have the right signatures yet, so target and audio name, and this should return a dynamic value. Oh. Yeah, the global audio. Yeah, I'm right doing the other one, but and this has a dynamic value. If I can spell target. Okay. So obviously for the global audio, we don't have to do this. We don't need the model name. So if I return, I'm just going to return null for now. I don't know why I added that D. So the audio ID is get our manager, get audio ID, and the model ID is -1. Audio name, and we don't need to pass anything there. Right, this isn't a dynamic value. It actually just returns the audio source. So we need the registry for longer here. So private Lua object registry. And we just return registry get audio source -1 audio ID. Okay, so and then here we'll return the target, get model audio, And then we'll have the audio ID as well, except we'll actually pass values in here. And then the model name, I guess, for the debug name. And then return registry get audio source. Okay, so there we go. Now why is it complaining here? Not implicitly. Oh, I see. Just do it this way then. Okay, so 2 functions down. Pretty simple. I don't think we have to do any more validation. I guess I just should, excuse me, I guess I should make sure that the audio name is not empty, but maybe I can just do that here. So if is our string is null or empty audio name, then I'll throw an error. Audio source name is empty. Okay, so this is a little confusing. This should be, I guess, the error name and then the string model name. This is slightly different. Oops. Like here, we want to show like what model this should be on, but here we want to actually tell where the null string was passed. Okay, this will actually just be get audio. I think about it. Okay, so they were good to go. Maybe animations dot get audio. Okay, so next step, we need to be able to play an audio file. So animations. Oh wait, no, it's the audio link. Maybe I should move this somewhere else because there's going to be a lot here. And if I put all the audio into one file, that's just going to be too much because we're going to have audio mixers to deal with as well. So this will be Lua audio source functions. I'll go ahead and copy this. We don't need to keep the registry here, so... And I only need the audio... Okay, I deleted the wrong thing. I need the audio source link. Okay, and then here we'll have play is Lua play, and we'll just write this one first, I think. And this can return a dynamic value. And we actually just pass the audio source itself. That's the Lua source, and then that's it. Okay, so yeah, again, we'll need to check if it's a valid time to call animations. And I don't really have to do any other validation here because audio source, we know it's already fine because it was given to Lua from the function we just created, so I think I'll just call manager play audio, and then we'll just pass the audio play command. And audio ID is L source audio ID. I guess we need to make sure if it's looping, if we want to do the wait handle or not. Okay, so let's look at the Lua do movement and see how I handled this. Okay, so I have the get synchronized type. Oh, that's not what I want. I want this wait handle. Yeah, so I'd want to call this equals wait handle, but I need to check to see if the audio is playable or not. So one way I could do it is to go through the commander and everything, but that seems like a bit too much work. And it's just a query, it's not like I'm sending any commands, so let's do it this way. Private query handle. So it's just, oh no, it's audio parameter query result. And then we'll also need to keep track. Yeah, I'm not sure how we'll do that. Because like, well, I guess I don't need to worry about it for looping because we're not going to let you set loops. So I'll deal with that when we get to volume. Again, I'm thinking about when the mod says to set the volume, but it's not actually set yet. Okay, so anyway, have this here. If loop query, I guess I'll set this, oh no, I'll just leave it. Send new. Okay, this is gonna be confusing. Bool loops equals loop query send new args. So we have the model ID from the source and the audio ID as well. And then I just need to send a type. And then the bool value we get back is whether it loops or not. And so if loops, we won't do that actually. Okay, so if this sound loops, do not register a wait handle. Because if it loops, it's never going to end, so it won't make sense to return a wait handle. We don't need to throw an error though, because they could still want to play a looping sound, so I think this is the right way to do it. We'd only throw an error if they try to run a coroutine based on this. Which will happen automatically because we're going to return nil. So the wait handle at this point would be -1. And the Lua return would be dynamic value, if I can spell. Oh gosh. My fingers got misaligned apparently. So new nil. And this will just return a nil value in Lua. Okay, so I think I'm ready to create this method, and then I'll return the Lua return value. So that's all good. Where did it insert the new function I just created? Oh, play audio. I put it all the way up here. I think I'd rather it be down. Somewhere like right before the waiting. But it's not implemented yet. Which is fine. Okay, back here. So now we need to implement getting volume and setting volume. So get volume and registry. Set volume is Lua. Set volume. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing there. Generate method and generate method. Okay, so I want this to be the Lua source and then the volume value. Let's put get in front. I think that makes more sense. Okay, so again, the only problem I'm trying to figure out is how I want to store asynchronous volumes. I think the easiest way would just be to have a reference to the hold on, I looked in the wrong file there. The animation sequence, and then just look back through that. Do we even have a reference to that here? Oh yeah, here we do. While I'm in here, I think I'll go ahead and create those new audio classes I'm working on right now. And okay, I guess. So in the script manager, do I know if we're in a logging state? Oh, okay, it's private. I guess I'll make it protected. I don't really want the Lua functions to have to worry about this, but I don't see any other way to do it. Sequence. Not new, so we'd want to get the animation sequence. While I'm here, I also need to get the loop query. Use query. All right. Okay, I want this out of this at the beginning of all those. So, get volume. What we do is we first need to see if the manager is in logging state. So if manager is in logging state, then we'll need to look through the animation sequence starting at the last one and move backwards to see if there's a set volume command. And to do that, let's... what am I trying to do here? I just need to create more stored animation types. So I guess audio play, audio volume, and I'll make more as I go. Okay, so let's look. I'll make a helper function here because I'm going to need to do this at least for the pitch. So float Oh no, I gotta do a boolean. Look for, I guess I'll just call this look and sequence. And this will be the stored animation type to look for. Okay, I guess for float, in case I have to look for some other value. Oh no, I could just return the command. So this would be audio property change command. So again, we'll go backwards. So we start with sequence length -1, and then while I is greater than or equal to 0, go backwards through it. So if the animation sequence type, oh wait, no, that's not what I want to do. Stored animation equals animation sequence animations I. If type equals type, then return anim command. I need to cast it as well. Oh, that's right. All these need to be classes so I can cast them correctly. Just the commands anyway. Otherwise we'll return null. Let's make this a little, oh no, I was gonna say let's make this a little easier by just returning a default value here, but that won't actually help. So previous command is look in sequence, and I think I might like end up putting this in the manager at some point, but for now I'll just leave it here. So if previous command does not equal null, then we'll return the previous command float value. Okay, so in other words, even if there's no previous command or is logging or not in the logging state, we'll just return the query for the specific audio. Oh, speak about that. I need to check that the previous command has the right or matches this audio source. That's what I forgot to do. Source. And that's not difficult to do. If command dot model ID equals model ID dot audio ID equals audio ID, then we'll finally return the command. Otherwise, we'll keep looking backwards. Okay, and now I just need to pass the Lua source. That's good to go. Okay, so I don't have a reference to the query I need. I guess I'll just place it in here as well. So this is, oh, well, it is the same actually. So I'll just call this property query instead of just loop query. Oh, since I had 2 in there, I didn't rename properly. Okay, so again, if we don't find a previous command, then I could just ask the game to tell me what the current volume is of this audio file, or audio source, I should say. And that's it. Oh, I need to return a float. Am I missing anything? Oh, the type is volume. Okay, so now set volume. I guess, do I want to... Well, I mean, you can still call get volume even if it's not a valid time to call. I think that's okay. But definitely not set volume. And I don't need to do any of that. All I need to do is call manager set audio property. Audio property change command equals all source dot model ID, and audio ID is the audio ID, and then the type volume, and then the float value is this volume value. I do need to validate that actually. Let's go ahead and create this method, and then I'll put it in the right spot because I think it tries to sort them alphabetically, but I don't have these functions sorted, so it doesn't really make any sense. Okay, command, and I'll just leave both of them not implemented, that's okay. Alright, so the volume has to be between 1 and 0, so if volume value is less than 0 or volume value is greater than 1, we'll throw a new script. Volume must be within, let's see, must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 1. Okay, so I think we're all good there. Yeah, nothing else to do. I guess in the script manager, I can start implementing this, so I'll just copy this. So play audio, and then I'll create this function for now. And this will just be audio play, and the wait handle, and then the command. The audio property. And the type is actually dependent on the type in the command, so switch. Well, let me see. Yeah, we don't have to do that. We can just, instead of, I think I have this set to audio volume, but I can actually change it to just audio. Yeah, set audio property. That would be better. And then back in the audio source functions, when we check here, we'll also check to make sure that type is one we want. So yeah, now that I think about it, I don't really need to have the type here, so we only care about the audio property type. So command dot type is volume, and it's for the specific model and audio that we care about. And so that's simpler. And there's no wait handle here, so do I set it to 0 or -1? Okay, -1. Okay, so that was pretty simple. And then here I have the command signals, but before I do that, I'll do this. So audio play. And oops, wrong key there. And so set audio property is the last one. And the last thing I need to do is get the commands for these two things. So we have the audio play command and audio property change command. Okay, and this will be command play audio and command audio property. Okay, so I just need to claim these things and should be done with this busy work. I don't think I'll have to do this anymore. Well, I guess we will when we work with the audio mixers, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of this animation system, but the only thing I don't like is in order to add something new to it, you kind of have to go through a bunch of hoops with a bunch of different classes, but it seems everything is nice and like decentralized, so hopefully it will prove to be easy to debug and add to in the future. What was it? Command audio property. Okay, so I think everything is hooked up now. Let's see. In the audio source and the Lua interface, yeah, I did use those functions. Okay, so this should work out fine. I have about 10 more minutes, so let's try to test this out. Framework functions, I'll want to... Okay, we can get rid of all this because I won't get rid of it, I guess. I'll just comment it out. Okay, so for now, let's just do global audio. Test that out. So blip is animations get audio. What do I call it? I think test blip. And so we'll do a wait for it to finish. Excuse me. Blip dot play. And then I guess when it's done, let's try and play it right away again, just to see what happens. So this should play once and then play one more time and then just not do any more. I'm just gonna have to recompile everything. I think that's fixed. No, it's not fixed. Oh, I forgot to update this to use the audio map, or the mixer map. Mixer map dot try get value. There we go. Okay, now it's recompiling. One way to tell if it's compiling is if you can't click on anything. It'd be nice if they had some notification so you didn't have to do that, but not a huge deal, I guess. So let's just play, and that Lua script should run at the beginning of the turn. Okay, so we got an error instead. Argument is out of range. Let's look. Okay, this shouldn't have been gotten to because the model... Oh, this is backwards, so if it's less than 0, okay, that's kind of a big thing. Also, I'm not quite sure. Hopefully the sound won't be too loud, but I do apologize. If it is, I'll rebuild the asset bundles and turn the volume down a bit. Well, that's not too bad. And I did play twice. And the first time it waited until it was done. It's perfect. Oh, I wonder if I tried to yield. I think this might freeze the game. Let's look. Okay, so local wait is flip play. This might be a bug with the coroutine system, I just realized. And then if I try to yield again, then I'm not sure. I don't think it will play again, so the game might just freeze there forever. Oh, it does give me an error. Yeah, yield without requests. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's see if I do... Let's make it play 3 times now. Actually, I don't know if you guys might not be able to hear it because I think I have my desktop sound pretty quiet. Let's pause the music and I'll turn my desktop sound up a bit so you can actually hear the game music. But I do promise it did play twice before. Okay, so there it did play 3 times in a row, no bugs. And now we're in the... Yeah, so it did exit the coroutine. Cool, so that worked first try. Let's try setting volume here. So flip volume is half. And then I'll set it back up. And why don't we print the volume as well? So print flip volume. How about after each time? Just to make sure it's getting updated. Okay, yeah, it did. So look here, the print was one half, 1, and then the second one was definitely quieter, so that's good to see. We can also, yeah, look here to see the volumes here, but of course it's set back to 1 at this point, but cool. So we know coroutine mode works. I guess we should test action mode. And we need to test attached to a model, but we do know that works. So in action mode, I'll just leave that there. And in the ability scripts, we have a little bit of sound effect going on already, but it doesn't actually... We haven't set up these yet, so I'm not going to call it. Also, it uses some old code, but I'll leave it there because I'll just need to update it. What I really want to do is just make sure the sound goes in sequence. So how about after it rotates, then we'll have it play the blip. Where is it? Right here. We should test printing the volume as well. So I'll just actually bring this whole thing over there, because that will test both getting volume and playing. And we can't call coroutine yield anymore. We have to call animations wait. But it does basically the same thing. Okay, so let's try it out. So I'll move to here and then move this guy to there. Animation release when not outstanding. Okay. I heard it play once, but I guess when I tried to play it again, something went wrong. But at least the volume is updating, because we can see Lua 1/2 1. What is this? Add. Oh, an action. So what's this one? Oh, set facing. Why did it not update? Or why does it not move or have any information in it? Maybe the game action, I didn't update the print. I guess I'll do that real quick while I'm here. No, that's not what this is coming from. So add Lua interface. Oh, it's the Lua interface action. Okay, so this would be set facing. Let's call it set facing. Okay, so yeah, that wasn't really related at all to the bug, but I just noticed that, so I wanted to fix it. But we did see that even though the volume is not set to 1/2 right here, actually in the game, it is set to 1/2 in the animation sequence, and so that's what it returns to Lua, which is exactly what we want to happen. Yeah, that's okay. So the actual problem is animation released when not outstanding. I wonder if it's like returning -1 or something. I need to finish up, but I kind of want to see at least what the value is, so I can think about it, what might be going on. Okay, so we'll move again that one there and this one down here. Oh, okay, so it is 6. Okay, so something's going wrong with there. I guess I'll need to debug that. Received. Release when not outstanding. Let's look. Oh yeah, there's a lot of animations going on. Wait. Okay, we have set audio property, audio play 6, and then it's trying to wait for that. 5 wait, 6 wait, move wait. Maybe it has something to do because it's like going on the same frame or something. And so it might be like one of those frame errors that I was worried about before, where here in the audio sound effect player, when it checks is playing right here, it might not have updated by the time it gets down here, so we need to wait 1 frame. That's not too difficult. Let me, but I at least know that volume is working. Let's see. Wait 1 frame to check if sound is complete. So I'll come back and do that, but for now I need to wrap up the stream. Thanks everybody for coming out and watching. I do appreciate it. I should be back tomorrow by about 8:30 Eastern like normal. I have a YouTube channel if you want to catch up on any stream. I always upload everything there. Usually by the following night at around 11 Eastern, it goes up. Also, I have a Discord channel if you'd like to chat with me and other viewers throughout the day. I'd love to have you there. And finally, if you want to be notified when I go live, feel free to follow me here on Twitch or also on my Twitter. And I'll have links in the chat, but you can also check out my video description if you're interested. And yeah, that's it for me for tonight. Thanks you all, everybody, for coming by, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.